And who would like to lead Kirtan?
I can, if no one else wants to.
All right.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajikacharya Ashtotarasata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much, Saraswati Mata, for the kirtan, and thank you, Tulsi Priya, for the Vrindavan Mangal Arti screen share. And welcome everyone for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Friday, February 23rd, 2024 in New York. And we're reading tonight in third canto, chapter 28, starting with verse number 33. So glad you could be with us, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Kapila Dev here is speaking about how the yogi should meditate on the different aspects of the Lord's form. Dhyanayanam prahasitam bahuladharushta Pasarunayita dvijakunda pankti Dhyayet svadeha kuhare vasitasya vishnor Bhaktiyad brayarpitamana napratag didrikshet. With devotion steeped in love and affection, the yogi should meditate within the core of his heart upon the laughter of Lord Vishnu. The laughter of Lord Vishnu is so captivating that it can be easily meditated upon. When the Supreme Lord is laughing, one can see his small teeth, which resemble jasmine buds, rendered rosy by the splendor of his lips. Once devoting his mind to this, the yogi should no longer desire to see anything else. Purport. It is recommended that the yogi visualize the laughter of the Lord after studying his smile very carefully. These particular descriptions of meditation on the smile, laughter, face, lips, and teeth all indicate conclusively that God is not impersonal. It is described herein that one should meditate on the laughter or smiling of Vishnu. There is no other activity that can completely cleanse the heart of the devotee. The exceptional beauty of the laughter of Lord Vishnu is that when he smiles, his small teeth, which resemble the buds of jasmine flowers, at once become reddish, reflecting his rosy lips. If the yogi is able to place the beautiful face of the Lord in the core of his heart, he will be completely satisfied. In other words, when one is absorbed in seeing the beauty of the Lord within himself, the material attraction can no longer disturb him. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha, Shri Rupam Sagrajatam, Sahagana Raghunathan Vitangs Sajivam, Sadvaitam Savadhutam, Parijana Sahitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Padan, Sahagana Lalita, Shri Vishakanvitangs. He Krishna Karuna Sindho, Dina Bandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari Priye, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's notable that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has quite a sizable amount of commentary on this, and perhaps we can get to that a little later. But here, Kapila Deva is recommending that the yogi meditate on the laughter of Lord Vishnu because it's so attractive. I was thinking how in the assembly of the wrestling match in Mathura, all the different categories of persons there had a different way of seeing Krishna. The wrestlers saw him as a thunderbolt. The men of Vrindavan saw him as one of their own. The young women saw him as Cupid, and Kamsa saw him as death personified. So, so for the Lord, as for his various components of his form, like his laughter. I was thinking how when Hiranyakashipu took it upon himself to fight with Lord Nrsingadev, he was fighting and going on for some time, thinking he's just fighting with some weird creature. But finally, when the Lord started laughing at him, then Hiranyakashipu his mind started to change. He started to, as they say, shake in his boots. He became afraid at that point. So the laughter of the Lord was not so much attracting him. So it depends on the mentality, how these aspects of the Lord's beautiful features act in our heart. And I was thinking also how Prabhupada clearly points out here that all these features that we're hearing of the Lord, they point to the fact that God is not impersonal. Because the impersonal Brahman doesn't laugh, it doesn't have teeth like jasmine buds. But he also says that right in the verse, it says that it's very easy to meditate on the laughter of the Lord. And if it's so easy to meditate on the Lord, why go to the trouble of trying unnecessarily and taking the hard way to meditate on something that has no form, no qualities, no teeth, no laughter? And it's very difficult besides all that. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I was hoping that you might have something to say about this verse and purport.
I won't say much. As you mentioned, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has a nice purport that we can go on to. Just Dhyana Avastata Tadgatena Manasa Pashantiyam Yogina. The yogis see the personality of Godhead within the heart. So here we find how the yogi sees the Lord. The advanced yogi is not meditating on what Prabhupada called philosophized Vishnu, the sort of personal representation of an impersonal truth, but he's relishing the wonderful features of the Lord, his smiling, his laughing, his beauty, everything described here.
If you'd like, Maharaj, I could go on to read Srila Vishwanath's purport. It's very, very full and rich. It has been said that one should meditate on the Lord's pastimes in verse 19. The Lord sits on his flower bed, unable to give up closeness to his beloved's ears, eyes, nose, and mouth out of greed for the fragrance of his beloved. He watches as she becomes frightened of a humming of a bee and starts waving her arms and cloth and moving her neck and eyes about restlessly. Pitifully, she cries out, "O King of enjoyers, I fall at your feet. Please drive this evil thing away." One should meditate on the loud laughter of the Lord as he says, "O King of the bees, do not leave her, enjoy her." Without effort, spontaneously, this becomes the object of meditation, dhyayanam. That is because of its sweetness. With the laughter, one can see the profuse splendor of his lips and his row of fine teeth like jasmine buds. One should not desire to see anything else in one's heart except Vishnu, who is seen in the heart. One should not desire to know anything else in one's heart, since there is nothing greater than this essence of all goals. This bewilderment through tasting bliss is the highest samadhi for the devotees. And it goes on, but I thought that was particularly shareable.
Let's read the rest.
Okay. The third anga of ninefold bhakti, consisting of meditation on the sweet form, qualities, and pastimes of the avatars of the Lord, has been described in the present context of Ashtanga Yoga to attract the great yogis and drown them in the ocean of bhakti ras. Then he gives a quote from Bhagavatam, second canto. This is Shukadeva Goswami speaking. Parinishtato nargunya uttama shloka lilaya grihita cheta rajarshe akyanam yad adhitavan. Though I was fixed in Brahman and beyond the gunas, my mind became attracted to the pastimes of the Lord. I thus learned his pastimes. And then he includes another quote here from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Advaita viti patikaya upashya svananda singhasana labda dikshaha shatena kenapi vayang hatena dasi krita gopa vadhu vitena. Although I was worshipped by those on the path of monism and initiated, this is a quote from Bilva Mangala Thakur, although I was worshipped by those on the path of monism and initiated into self-realization through the yoga system, I have nonetheless been forcibly turned into a maidservant by some cunning boy who is always joking with the gopis. Bilvamangal Thakur quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So these verses show that great yogis like Shukadeva and Bilvamangala drowned in bhakti ras by the mercy of great devotees. Tulsi Priya has a comment here. She says, I've often wondered why I haven't seen many depictions of the Lord smiling with his teeth showing. Did Srila Prabhupada ever give instructions to not show Krishna's teeth in BBT art? The only one I recall that does is the one called Wonderful Krishna, and Krishna is a baby in that one, and she shows that in the chat window.
I don't know of any instruction, to be honest, about that.
All right,
Maharaj, is there some kind of convention artistically to not show Krishna smiling broadly or showing his teeth?
I've never heard of one.
Thank you.
Priyanka Mataji has a question here. Can we say that Sankhya philosophy is a mix of analytical study of the material and spiritual natures plus devotional service?
No, it's not just plus devotional service. Its goal is devotional service. The Kapil Dev, Devahuti Kapil Dev, is teaching devotional service with analytical study as a means of approach. It's not just analytical study with devotional service tacked on.
All right. Thank you, Maharaj. Priyanka says, thank you, Maharaj. Saraswati Mata says, pranams. Usually we hear about the beautiful bees swarming around the fresh flower garlands worn by Krishna and Vishnu. Here, we hear how the bees became seemingly a nuisance. Unlike the bees in this world that sting and are a nuisance, in the spiritual world, wouldn't they be attractive? Also, sometimes the Lord's teeth are colored from eating betel pan. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for that. And Tulsi Priya, would you like to start reading the next verse?
Hare Krishna. Okay. Text 34. Evam haro bhagavati pratilabdha bhavo bhaktya dravadridhaya utpulaka pramodat utkantya bhashpa kalaya muhur ardya manas tachchapi chitta barisham shanakair viyunkte. Translation. By following this course, the yogi gradually develops pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. In the course of his progress in devotional service, the hairs on his body stand erect through excessive joy, and he is constantly bathed in a stream of tears occasioned by its intense love. Gradually, even the mind, which he used as a means to attract the Lord as one attracts a fish to a hook, withdraws from material activity. Purport. Here it is clearly mentioned that meditation, which is an action of the mind, is not the perfect stage of samadhi or absorption. In the beginning, the mind is employed in attracting the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but in the higher stages, there is no question of using the mind. A devotee becomes accustomed to serving the Supreme Lord by purification of his senses. In other words, the yoga principles of meditation are required as long as one is not situated in pure devotional service. The mind is used to purify the senses, but when the senses are purified by meditation, there is no need to sit in a particular place and try to meditate upon the form of the Lord. One becomes so habituated that he automatically engages in the personal service of the Lord. When the mind is forcibly engaged upon the form of the Lord, this is called nirbija yoga, or lifeless yoga, for the yogi does not automatically engage in the personal service of the Lord. But when he is constantly thinking of the Lord, that is called sabija yoga, or living yoga. One has to be promoted to the platform of living yoga. One should engage in the service of the Lord 24 hours a day, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. The stage of Premenjana Charita can be attained by developing complete love. When one's love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service is fully developed, one always sees the Lord, even without artificially meditating on his form. His vision is divine because he has no other engagement. At this stage of spiritual realization, it is not necessary to engage the mind artificially, since the meditation recommended in the lower stages is a means to come to the platform of devotional service. Those already engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are above such meditation. This stage of perfection is called Krishna consciousness. I do not have much to say on this, or actually anything to say on this, because I'm a little confused on the distinction between meditating on the Lord to purify the mind and meditating on the Lord in service as devotional service. That there's been there's been devotees who've served the Lord through meditation, meditating on serving him. So I would like some clarification, please.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, would you care to comment here?
Yeah, there's a lot here, actually. The first thing is in the Bhagavad Gita, what is that? Arurukshor Munir Yogam Karma Karanamuchyate. Yoga Rudhasyata Syaiva Shama Karanamuchyate. In the beginning of meditation, it's work. We're told to meditate. We hear that the yogi is supposed to meditate step by step. You should meditate on every one of the spokes of the chakra of Lord Vishnu. You should meditate on every part of the Lord's body. So this is, let's get off the impersonal platform and fix our minds on the personality of Godhead. That's the beginning. But as one advances, then it's no longer a question of employing the mind in meditation on the personality of Godhead. The mind becomes absorbed. One's heart becomes absorbed in always thinking of Krishna. This is the higher stage, or the desired stage, the stage of spontaneous attraction to Krishna. In the beginning, meditation, but as Prabhupada says, that's not the perfect stage of samadhi or absorption. But when the mind and senses are purified, then one comes to the point of living yoga. One becomes, one develops love for Krishna and sees the Lord. Prabhupada says, even without artificially meditating on his form. We recommend this artificial meditation. Now I'm meditating on sense gratification. So I should take my mind off that and meditate on the transcendental form of the personality of Godhead. But that's for those who are not yet on the stage of being absorbed in transcendental loving service to the Lord and with attraction. I hope that clarifies the matter.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you so
Maharaj.
much. But Tulsipriya, go ahead. You had a question as well.
Yeah, so I looked up the word artificial just to make sure I understood it. And it says made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally, especially as a copy of something natural. So what I'm getting from what you're saying, Maharaj, is that if this meditation that is done by by intention or by making an effort isn't the same. It's artificial. It's a created thing as opposed to something that arises naturally from the heart.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I suppose the next thing for us is to go on to the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which is quite stunning, really. And just to preface it, I would say that as we're reading these commentaries, these are sort of complementary points of view. The insights, Prabhupada mentions that we study Bhagavatam from different angles of vision. So every verse can be read one way, or it can be read another way, or it can be read a third way. that Atmarama verse Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read so many ways. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is going to have another take on the verse. And it seems the starting point is the word pratilabdha, which Prabhupada gives, I think, as obtained or something like that.
Developed.
Develops. Labdha means achieved. And one meaning of prati is the opposite. Prati is the opposite. So bimba, pratibimba, or anukul, pratikul, the opposite, prati. So we'll see how he develops his purport from that. From a different take on pratilabdha.
So before we get into the items in the chat, I'll read Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti's voluminous commentary on this verse. First, I'll read the translation here of the verse. The unfortunate yogi, that's what it says, the unfortunate yogi who has developed love. Wait, is that right? The unfortunate yogi, that's how it's printed here. No, okay. I'll read it as it sits here. The unfortunate.
Yeah, it's exactly the way he's reading it.
The unfortunate yogi who has developed love for the Lord, full of all sweet qualities, whose heart is somewhat soft because of devotion, whose body hairs stand on end in ecstasy, who is constantly overcome with intense tears of joy, gradually withdraws his hook-like mind from the Lord's form. Okay. So he goes on to say, the foolish yogi who, receiving great mercy and experiencing the sweetness of meditation on the Lord's pastimes, rejects it because he is not fixed in that taste, is considered low class among yogis, even though he is steady in yoga. He is cheated of bhakti rasa. By bhakti alone, he attains liberation with realization of pratyega atma, the individual soul, while destroying 21 types of suffering. But he does not attain liberation with realization of paramatma. That is explained starting in this verse and until the end of the chapter. This yogi has attained bhava for the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, full of the nectar of all sweetness and powers. Since the Lord is most attractive, possessing the 6 bhagas, pratilabdha, besides meaning to attain, suggests that he receives but does not respond appropriately. The word api, later in the verse, applies to all the previous words. Thus the meaning is, though he received bhava for the sweet form of the Lord, though his heart melted, though his hairs stood on end, and though he was constantly afflicted with streams of tears caused by longing, he withdraws the hook of his mind from that form, tad api. It is said that one should give up jnana to attain liberation. And then he quotes 11th canto, Jnanam chamayi sanyaset. But there's no rule to give up bhakti to attain liberation. On the contrary, it is forbidden to give up bhakti, for it has just been said in the previous verse, one should not desire to see anything except the Vishnu who is present in one's heart with a mind steeped in mature devotion. Therefore, the yogi gives up that sweet form only by his own foolish decision. He does so without following rules. Because his heart is like a hook, he gives up that sweet form. This means that the heart, which was inundated with the sweetness of the Lord, in order to distance itself from eagerness for rasa, for material objects. Hare Krishna. He does so gradually because it is difficult to withdraw, since the heart has directly experienced that sweetness. Even if he has no direct experience of the sweetness, he can only withdraw his mind by repeated effort, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 7 or 8 times. The hook is made of iron. It does not melt like gold, silver, or butter. It softens a little by applying great heat, but immediately becomes hard again. Thus, the verse states that his heart is in the process of melting, dravat, rather than being fully fluid. The hook, though always bathed in the waters of the sacred Ganga, remains permanently crooked, without appreciation of rasa. It is also a cheater, because it covers its point with bits of sweet food for attracting greedy fish. The yogi's heart is thus condemned by this analogy. Though purified by the holy place, it remains hard and crooked and makes a show, covering its nature with devotional meditation to attract the Lord. I can pause here, Maharaj, at any point if you would care to comment further on some of these points.
Prabhupada comments in Bhagavad Gita in the 12th chapter that impersonalism is problematic for its adherents, both in the beginning and later. And so we find that here, that the yogi is meditating on the personal form of the Lord, these sweet features described, and he becomes enchanted. He becomes ecstatic. Bhava means ecstasy. He becomes ecstatic because his mind is tasting the sweetness of this form. But then he thinks, uh-oh, this is going too far. Just as sometimes we find someone's attracted to our kirtan or someone's attracted to our books, but he thinks, uh-oh, if I follow this, I'm going to become a Hare Krishna. And so he holds back, even though it's attractive, even though it's sweet. He thinks, no, this is too sweet. If I take this up, I may never get out. So here we find the same sort of psychology at work. The yogi, the meditator, is becoming so attracted by the form of the Lord that he thinks, well, wait a second, what happens if I keep on this path? What happens to my meditation? What happens to liberation? What happens to attainment of Brahma? So he pulls back, which is, and Vishwanath comments, it's hard. He has to keep working at it, working at it, working at it, working at it, because the Lord is so attractive. But he's determined, no, I can't go for this. So pratilabdha, although he achieves this ecstatic state, he pulls back from it. He pulls back from it. And it just Vishwanath comes to his own misfortune, his own bad choice, or his own contaminations still by excessive gyan, excessive impersonalism.
Dharmash, thank you. I'll continue with this reading. In commenting on Dharma Projecta Kaitava, Bhagavatam 112, Sridhar Swami says that the word pra indicates that even the desire for liberation, the desire for merging in the Lord, is rejected as cheating. For in that liberation, even Bhakti Devi, the highest object of meditation, worshipped as a mere anga of yoga, is finally rejected. The touch of that hook of the yogi's heart is uncomfortable for the Lord as well. Thus, after the withdrawal from the Lord gives liberation with realization of pratyagatma, while destroying 21 types of suffering to the fisherman yogi with his withdrawn hook-like heart. He does not give liberation with realization of Paramatma. The relishers of the Bhagavatam say that the yogi described in the Gita does not reject meditation on the Lord, and thus the Lord awards him liberation with realization of the form of Paramatma, since that yogi never desires to withdraw from the sweet form of the Lord, the object of his meditation. Parikshit says, Dautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulang Namunshati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Panta Svasharanam Yata. It's quoted from second canto. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. And then he quotes Uddhava from 11th canto. Tvam tvakilatma dayiteshvaram ashritanam sarvartadang svakrita vid visrijeta ko nu ko va bhajet kimapi vismritaye nubhutyai king va bhavenna tavapada rajo jushangna. What person who knows the mercy you show to your devotees could reject you, the most dear among all souls, the Supreme Lord of all, who give all possible perfections to the devotees who take shelter of you? Who would reject you and accept something for the sake of material enjoyment or liberation, which simply leads to forgetfulness of you? And what lack is there for us who are engaged in the service of the dust of your lotus feet? And he quotes Narada from first canto, chapter 5. Navaya jano jatu kantanan shana vrajen mukunda se vyanya varanga sangsritim smaran mukudangri upaguhanang punar vihatumicchen rasa graho jana. Oh, the person who serves Mukunda will never, under any condition, return to the material world, unlike practitioners of other processes. Remembering the embrace of the Lord's lotus feet, eager for that taste he has experienced, he will not desire to give up those feet again. I could pause here again if Maharaj would care to comment further, or I could continue.
Well, this is the fortunate yogi, the pure devotee who becomes attracted and keeps going. He absorbs he surrenders to the attractive form of the Lord and develops pure, spontaneous love for Krishna.
Right. I'll finish with this commentary before we get to the comments, of which there are several. Even among the yogis, Shukadev and others were pleased with hearing about the Lord. They were rasagraha, enjoyers of the taste of the Lord. In the previous verse also it was said that the yogi whose mind is offered up with bhakti should not see anything except the Lord. If the yogi offers his mind to the Lord, the mind belongs only to the Lord. If that is so, how can that mind reject the Lord? And how can he, once giving the mind, take it back? Such a person can only be condemned. And the Lord resides only in the hearts of the devotees, not in the hearts of the yogis. Brahma says, and he quotes here from 3rd canto, chapter 9, Ye tu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham, jigranti karna vivarai shrutivata nitam, bhaktya grihita charana parayachate sham, na paishi nata hridayam buruhat svapung sam. O my Lord, persons who smell the aroma of your lotus feet, carried by the air of Vedic sound through the holes of the ears, accept your devotional service. For them, you are never separated from the lotus of their hearts. And finally, he quotes Avyarhotra, speaking from 11th canto. Visrijati hridayam nayasya sakshad, Dhairyavasha bihito pyagho ganashaha, pranaya rasanaya dhritang gripadma, sabhavati bhagavata pradana ukta. He who binds the lotus feet of the Lord by ropes of love, and whose heart the Lord, destroyer of heaps of sin, called even unconsciously, does not leave, is called the best of devotees. Hare Krishna. So, going back to the chat here. Oh, Tulsi Priya comments that the idea of withdrawing the hook, she comments that this is exactly what happened to me after the first time I went to the temple. I was chanting constantly and forced myself to stop. Joined 6 years later. Big dummy. I hope I'm not missing any of these. Saraswati Mata had asked, is Krishna Prema attained in the Brahma Bhuta platform? That's the first question. Second question, also the fish attracted by the hook kills the fish, so that's a predatory analogy? That's the second question. And then a comment, the symptoms of prema that pure devotees may exhibit include loss of consciousness, laughing, crying, obliviousness to surroundings.
Is Krishna Prema attained in Brahmabhuta? Brahmabhuta is the basic platform on which Krishna Prema is attained. Without being on the Brahmabhuta platform, where's the question of Prema? The Sahajas have that problem. They're in Krishna Prema, but they're not on the Brahmabhuta platform. They're on the platform of attachment to the material body. So their Krishna Prema is rejected as too easy, as being false, because they're prakrita. Their bhakti is materialistic. So one has to be on the Brahmabhuta platform. That's the first thing. Brahmabhuta prasanatma, ashojati nakankshati, samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. Once on the Brahmabhuta platform, one is expected to keep going and not remain satisfied. Now I've attained self-realization, so my business is finished. One has to go on and develop love for Krishna. Now, let's see, then there's this thing about the hook. is it predatory? The fish is attracted by the hook that kills the fish. So yeah, the mind is someplace, I think in a coming purport, Vishnath will say this, that the mind will be finished. Your material mind is going to be finished by Krishna Bhakti. It doesn't mean we're going to become stupid, but that materialistic mind is doomed. The mind of sense enjoyment and material false ego and all of that, that mind is going to be finished. It's been hooked by the transcendental form of Krishna, and it's over. Now he's not going to be in the ocean of material existence anymore. He's going to be pulled out. So you can take it that way. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Maharaj. Moving on, Gurudas Prabhu says, Dandavats Maharaj and devotees. My poor self, Gurudas says, is an example of a frustrated yogi who gave up meditation because it seemed too difficult. I did not know the principle that the all-attractive Lord, the supreme enjoyer, will manifest himself, his form, out of his own sweet will. This in itself is proof that the Supreme is not impersonal or void when he chooses to reveal himself after long yoga practice, as he did for Dhruva or Narada. There are advanced devotees in our movement, and to see one of them smile or laugh is an indication of the beauty and freshness of Krishna's smiling and laughter. I am very attracted to the incredible causeless mercy smile of my Guru Maharaj. And of course, many devotees can attest to the brilliant beauty and innocence and mystery of Srila Prabhupada's smiling and laughing. We rejoice when we see it, and one who is on the path becomes completely satisfied. Absent of waiting millions of lifetimes to see the Lord face to face, this is the most a neophyte like me can hope for. Thank you, Gurudas Prabhu. And Saraswati Mata says, we hear how intense and continuous Krishna Prema is. So are pure devotees able to contain this love, control their seemingly uncontrollable feelings, or hide the love at all? In the material world, there is a saying, love means your actions are controlled, ruled by the heart and not the head, so one cannot reason with the feelings of love, nor hide it from anyone. We know in the material world there is no love, only lust, but is there any similarity to Krishna Prema at all?
In the nectar of devotion, we find that devotees do conceal their inner feelings. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Roy, the first time, the Lord was in ecstasy and he was starting to embrace Ramananda Roy, but there were some ordinary Brahmins there and associates of Ramananda Roy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu checked his feelings. It wouldn't have been appreciated by these ordinary men. In the Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada gives examples of how a devotee suppresses or conceals his feelings. But sometimes the attempts to control those feelings, to conceal those feelings, fail, and the signs of ecstasy are manifest. And we saw that with Srila Prabhupada sometimes, although he was usually grave and you wouldn't know what he was thinking or feeling. Sometimes he would go into trance or become stunned. And I remember Shrutakirti tells how one time that happened, and he started to say something about it to Srila Prabhupada later, and Prabhupada said, that doesn't happen very often. Doesn't happen very often. And again, the Sahajas, they want to show it on their sleeve. You know, they want to milk it for all it's worth. Every little tear is a potential rupee. So, they want to display their good fortune for everyone to see. But the devotees generally keep these things within their hearts as confidential. As far as similarity, yeah, there's similarity. Kaviraj Goswami says it's like iron and gold. There is some similarity. They're both metals, but gold and iron, on the other hand, are so dissimilar. No one would feel, no girl would feel flattered because her boyfriend bought her an iron earring. It's gold that we want. So the lust is the dim reflection of the reality, perverted reflection of the reality. Some similarity is there, but if we think that they're the same, then we're fools. We think that gold and iron are identical or close. It's not even close.
Thank you so much, Marge. It's just about time, although we do have quite a number of outstanding items in the chat window. I was thinking we could address them on Monday and have kirtan now, unless there's strenuous objections to that idea. All right. Tulsi Priya, would you like to lead kirtan, or would you like to nominate someone else to lead kirtan?
I'm happy to chant unless somebody else was hoping to. All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotar Ashtat Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much for the Kirtan Tulsi Priya and for the Mayapur Darshan screen share. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for being with us once again.
Thank you, Kendra Prabhu. Thank you to all. Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai,
Jai,
His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai,
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai.
Jai,
Govardhande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Narottam Das Thakur.